It is a freezing cold Saturday afternoon here in Boston, Massachusetts. So much so that the ice rink inside Edward C. Barry is much warmer than it is outside, but is a perfect day for hockey. Sadly, no fans in the stands, which means much more to do for Matt Meisenbacher and I on this Saturday. It's UMass Boston taking on the Spartans of Castleton University. My name is Mason South. Thank you so much for joining us. Meisey, let's get right into it. It's a part of a string of games. We were talking about it before we went on the air. Got to pick up points. This is a marquee opportunity. You see the records up there on your screen. Castleton 0-7-1 in conference. UMass Boston 3 points or bust, right?
Well, 100%. And they took care of business last night. That was the Skidmore team for those that didn't tune in or were busy. It was a pretty close hockey game. You probably saw the score. It was a 5-0 final. But for really the first half of that hockey game was very close. Could have easily been 1-1 after the first period, and it was even close most through that second period. Beacons kind of walked away with it there in the second half of that second period. And today a Castleton team that on paper really is a mismatch for these Beacons. 4 more wins for the Beacons over Castleton, and when I look at this lineup, I don't see a ton of offensive production. So this should be another 3-point night.
We take a look at the goaltenders. Sam Best is on a great run of form right now. Of course, you got the Codfish Bowl victory, another shutout last night. He's on great form. Got to keep it up today.
Yeah, he really is dialed in, and you can kind of see, the way he's playing right now, there's really not a lot of excess in his game. He's very efficient with the way he's goaltending right now. All of his positioning seems to be true to form, and he's really trusting himself, and you can see that in the blue, especially the way he moves in the blue paint. There's really not a lot of second-guessing going on, and when you're a goaltender and you have that type of confidence, boy, it really does wonders for the other aspects of your game. He's really dialed in right now, and the Beacon's going to lean on him again here today.
Part of another home-and-home back-to-back. We get another one of those next weekend, but in this weird time that we live now, you're always going to play a little bit shorthanded in these back-to-backs, not because you have COVID protocols, you have injuries, you're in the middle of a long grind of a season, you got academics, you got people home for holidays. There's so much stuff going on. How do you tackle this second game to a back-to-back with not necessarily the same lineup as you had last night?
Yeah, for the most part, it looks like it's going to be the same, but I understand your point. There's a lot of, you look at the scratches, right, and we talked about this last time. I mean, you've got a whole list of players that would really be in this lineup otherwise, but I think it's a good opportunity for, players on this third and fourth line. A player like Banks got his first collegiate game in last night, McCoy, Delosio, and these are types of guys that, quite frankly, haven't had a ton of minutes this year, but are finding ways to be productive. I thought they looked well last night. Obviously, the top 2 lines did most of the scoring, but I saw some things on that third and fourth line that I really liked, and they're going to get another opportunity here today.
A very familiar matchup as we take a look at the all-time series between these two schools. UMass Boston leading convincingly 17-7-2. And we talked about it, Meisey. They should be no match to the Spartans today. The Beacons have won the last 13 times these two teams have played.
Yeah, it's been pretty dominant. I mean, what else could be said, right? 13 in a row. And, that can also trip up a team, right? When the players know this, and especially juniors and seniors who have been here, it's Castleton again. This is a team that's probably pretty hungry for a win and maybe a little bit of desperation. Classic, underperforming, playing down to your competition. I mean, those are things you really want to avoid here if you're the Beacons. But you can see overall this is a team that the Beacons typically handle.
You see Sam Best with those 31 saves, and it's time to take a look at some of the highlights from that game back on February the 1st, 2020, where the Beacons won it by a score of 6-3. prepare to take the ice. The officials have done so. Castleton making their way along the far side of the ice to the visitors' bench to take the ice momentarily. The Beacons will then emerge from their locker rooms. As we take a look at the team stats coming into this one, you can see everything heavily in favor of UMass Boston. Mizey, not a surprise based on the records. What really jumps out to you from that page?
Well, I think the power play, offensively, I thought this team really hung in there yesterday, and they were kind of rolling with three lines primarily for most of these minutes. I thought that might take a toll on them later in the hockey game. It really didn't. They seemed to be well conditioned. So I think offensively this team, when they get going and they feel a little bit of momentum, boy, they really hone in on it. And then you talk about a goaltender who's hot. We'll get to this more in a minute. But Sam Best, completely dialed in. And that's a pretty good combination for a hockey team to have an offense that be able to put up 4 goals a game and then a goaltender who's posting zeros every period.
Absolutely. Take a look at the individual leaders for these two squads. And you can see Ethan Nitkin leading the way in goals with 9, with Skinner second to him in 6th in assists, and Peters, who had 2 points yesterday, Mizey, up there in assists with 14. Everything really runs through him as you see those 19 points with Nitkin right behind at 15.
Yeah, nice to have some versatility, right? There's not one name there that's repeated, over and over again. You've got really 3 guys in Nitkin, Skinner, and Peters that are carrying a lot of the weight, and I'd even throw a third. I think Connor Clifton's on his way up. I saw some pretty good moves on the power play from him. He had 3-point night last night. I wouldn't be surprised if his name is on that sheet pretty soon.
Yes, Corey Clifton having a great run of form right now. But the player to watch in this one, we mentioned him earlier, it's Sam Best. He's had a number of incredible runs of form throughout this career here at UMass Boston, but this may be one of the best that he's had.
Yeah, this is pretty rare. I mean, and I said this last night, it's one thing when a goaltender has 2 shutouts somewhat close to each other. To get them back-to-back, I mean, that's just pretty outstanding. And talking to the coaching staff and some of these players in the pregame, when you talk about Sam Best, no one's going near him, nobody's talking to him, let him do his own thing. And that's kind of what you have to do. The last thing you want to do is provide any type of distraction for a goaltender who's on a 2-game shutout streak.
Well, he will be opposed today by Dominic Rodrigue, number 59. This is not the starting goaltender most of the season. We will go into that a little bit more later for Castleton, but their starting goaltender for most of the season, not listed on the line sheet tonight. Not sure if he's hurt or just not with the team at the moment, but regardless, Sam Best and Rodrigue going head-to-head against one another. You look at the save percentage, Rodrigue's done well in his limited time, but this is a Castleton team that has dealt with a lot of adversity. He's going to deal with a lot of shots tonight, Mizey.
Yeah, small sample size, but really what stands out to me, a freshman goaltender with a 92% save percentage is pretty outstanding. We're going to have to see. This is going to be a true test for him here tonight with a high-octane offense out of the Beacon Blue.
We're going to briefly pause for the national anthem. Come back on the other side with the starting lineups and the opening puck drop.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family.
Opening puck drop just moments away as we take a look at the starting lineups. First for Castleton, the front 3 left to right will be Connor Laddebush, Sam Rennert at center, and Connor Ryder out at right wing. Ryder will be easy to pick out as he stands 6'6", 215, the senior out of Whitby, Ontario. The defensemen, Zach Papapetros and Romeo Terrain and Dominic Rodrigue is the netminder. For UMass Boston, it's your normal front line of Corey Clifton, Ty Matthews, who's come in over the last few games and performed admirably well, along with Chris Peters out at right wing. Ryan Rowland and Pat Keegan in defense, Sam Best in net, and we meet them here.
Ethan Osborne, junior defenseman, Prescott, Arizona.
Andy Walker, junior forward, Detroit, Michigan.
Ethan Nicken, senior forward from Miami Beach, Florida.
Evan Help, grad student defenseman, Sylvania, Ohio.
Jeffrey Skinner.
Underway, just before we could meet Sam Best.
Poor Sam.
We'll talk about him enough throughout the broadcast where we don't necessarily need to mark it down that he's the starter.
That's true.
We're well aware of that. Sprinting in and covering up is Rodrigue for our first stoppage. Mizey, as we get this one underway, I can't imagine that Castleton is thinking, okay, how do we win this hockey game right away? But how can they at least start this game off promisingly and make UMass Boston work for it?
Yeah, you want to earn some respect really quickly here if you're wearing green, right? And one of the ways to do that is by not trying to do too much. Keep things simple here. You've got some energy, obviously, coming into this hockey game. Anybody that's played will tell you those first few shifts are a little nerve-wracking, but you want to keep it simple, right? Maybe get a couple shots on goal or spend some time in the offensive zone.
That one took a weird shot. Sam Best alert to it. Coming the other way are the Beacons, flipping it forward and tracking it in there deep is Jeffrey Skinner. Centering pass out front, swing and a miss that time, but makes its back way out to the right point. Held in there deep at the red line. 50-50 puck, patrolled and won by Ethan Nitkin. Nitkin skating into traffic.
Yeah, a penalty here. Should be a slashing call. Yep.
Exactly 60 seconds into the hockey game, and we have our first penalty. The head referee, DeSantis, makes the call.
Petros, I think. Yep.
Yep, Papapetros at 1 minute sent to the box for slashing, and talk about the ways that Castleton get off to a bright start. That's not one of them.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking for there. I was about to say it's probably not in the coaching playbook to, oh, that's off the post, to take a penalty less than 2 minutes into a hockey game.
Off the post and cleared down ice, where it's retrieved in there deep by Krapinski.
Whoa.
Krapinski gets it back. Not sure if that was the intention by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Chasing it in there is Nitkin. Continues the long shift because of the power play. Pinned in there deep, sandwiched against the far boards. This is fine for Castleton. Wasting a couple more seconds on the penalty kill. Makes its way back out left point, Krapinski. Recycles it back in there deep. Nitkin moves it around Corey Clifton, who Mizey mentioned earlier as a player to watch. Centering pass out front, looking for Nitkin, nothing there. Best collects, cedes it to a defenseman. Moving forward with it is Ty Matthews. Matthews gains the zone, still on the puck, and then takes a collision into the boards, and it's again cleared by the Spartans.
And he can really shoot, Matthews. We saw that last night. He had one labeled blocker side, and probably one of the better shooters on this Beacon hockey team.
5 games played, 8 points, splitting 4 goals and 4 assists for a beautiful return through his first now half-dozen games coming into this one. 1-2 pass, Helt, the captain, sends it out to the right side, short corner, right side, centering pass goes through the crease, kept in at the blue line with 20 seconds to play on the extra man.
Love to see Skinner maybe take that to the net and, try to make that cross-ice pass. I understand that's an auto goal, right, if that pass connects, but he really didn't have any pressure there. And I would love to see maybe just try to take an extra step out, maybe go far side high, or when you're that close to the net, man, it's pretty hard to pass up there, especially when that pass doesn't connect.
Mentioned there are a couple of players that are going to get some more additional minutes than they've gotten recently. The captain, Evan Helt, who plays a lot of roles. The leadership role is the number one, but he's going to get a couple of more minutes with all the players as that one caroms off the post near side.
That's 2.
Second time that's happened. Evan Helt was in there to start the power play. 3 seconds left on the extra man. Spartans are going to kill it off. Back to even strength. Spartans quickly hop off the bench. Get back to 5-on-5 hockey. Still in the Beacon zone. Eventually cleared by the men in green. Makes its way back where it's retrieved by Kyle Sargent. Switches the play. Sends it in deep. And Castleton heads for a change. Flipped out of the zone. Mispossessed that time by Patrick, or make that Connor Ryder. Going in there alone was Banks. Brought out past the red line, gaining the zone, Patrick Picard. Picard sends it around the near boards. Finds a teammate. Sent back in there. Best has only had to make the one save on the awkward angle inside the first 30 seconds. Since then, he's been quiet. 6 players battling just below us on the left side near boards. Eventually, it does make its way out. Ethan Osborne tries to track it down. Beacon's trying to clear. They do so successfully past the red line. And here's an opportunity for a break. It's through on the 5-hole. Jacob Banks. First collegiate goal for the Westminster native.
First collegiate goal, first collegiate point, gets it on a breakaway, and that's a great feeling. And you can tell, look at the bench, everybody's giving him a little extra. That's a great moment for a player, and what a story, right? Hurts his wrist in an exhibition game before the season. You just hate to see it. Finally comes back, gets his first college game last night, and then in his second college game gets his first goal and his first point on a breakaway. Great moment.
Certainly is. Rodrigue will certainly want that one back. As a goaltender, you hate to get beat 5-hole.
Yeah, especially it wasn't too many moves there, right? That was just kind of a grip and rip. You know, that's one, as a goaltender, it's okay if you're going to beat me 5-hole if you got me going left to right, but just on a straight shot like that, that one stings a little bit more.
They all count the same, and Jacob Banks will never forget that one. 1-0. UMass Boston. They get the critical goal as Castleton, who has fallen behind far too many times on the season, had difficulty coming back as Sam Best makes his probably first save. I'm not sure if the first one was initially on target. Best makes that block.
That was kind of tricky, too. A little changeup off the blocker.
Karam's off the boards. Heading back to retrieve it is Ryan Bogan. Long pass up ice, picking out Peters. Retrieved on the far boards by Glenn Wiswell, the grad student out of Berwick, Maine. Castleton bringing it across center ice. Wiswell again. Pass out in front, tried to get through on the pass. Wiswell seated it, got it back, but couldn't direct it on target. 5.5 minutes gone. UMass Boston, a goal to the good. Cross ice pass once again. Peters, deking one way, goes to the right side, brings it back. Then lost possession of the puck. Now he fights for it to try and get it back, but he's checked off. Sent in there again, and Castleton forces a stop, but then just goes in for a change, and it's right back with the Beacons.
We'll have to see if any changes by the Beacons here. This Castleton is doing a really nice job of clogging the middle. As soon as the Beacons hit the red line, options are pretty limited. I think the Castleton Spartans are trying to force a dump, which is obviously not what the Beacons want to do, and it's a little bit of a stalemate so far in the neutral zone.
Best makes the stop. The right point shot came in from the alternate captain, Jawara Reynolds, number 5. And Best continues to be equal to everything sent his way over the last 3 weeks. Chipped out of the zone, sent back in deep, but that just allows the Beacons to make a change. But as you said, Mizey, again, clogging things up Castleton and making things difficult.
Yeah, there's not much there. And that's a credit to Castleton. I mean, you're giving them pretty much half the ice, but trusting the fact that it's a bend but don't break mentality, we're going to force them to really earn our zone. And it's working so far. I mean, the breakaway aside, it's been pretty even.
Sent back in by Nordfeld. Beacons take it away. In the possession of Nitkin. on for his third shift of the day. Sent back out again by Castleton. Not really looking to attack, but looking to fluster UMass Boston, wait for them to make a mistake. Sent around the boards by Romeo Terrain. Beacons trying to force it in the zone on the forecheck. Now it makes it past this blue line. Trying to get it out of his skates was Andy Walker, and eventually did so. Castleton forced to retreat. Approaching 8 minutes played, but both goaltenders have been relatively quiet. Sam Bass has had to make a couple of saves. Rodrigue got beat 5-hole, but that's about it for the two goaltenders.
Yeah, it's been mostly a neutral zone game. I mean, maybe a little bit over the blue lines, but neither team really possessing for that long in the offensive zone, minus the one power play we saw for the Beacons. The time of possession, pretty limited.
Castleton is trying to generate something, but they have really been limited to flipping it in there, trying to apply a little bit of a forecheck. But they already got burned one time on the counterattack. They don't want that to happen again, as Banks had his first collegiate goal inside the opening 6 minutes. Icing will send it down the other way.
We talked about that a little bit, right? When you look on paper, this Castleton team is limited offensively. Just nobody really standing out to me that's, you know, a pure goal scorer or playmaker. And so my guess would be they're going to try to keep this close as long as possible, right? And if they can get a power play or get a fluky goal, right? Hang around. Next thing you know, late in the third period, maybe try to walk away with one.
You saw head coach Peter Belisle on that last graphic. Has to be pleased with the 1-0 lead, but we'll see if he employs any kind of changes to the tactics or if he tries to wear Castleton down. Reverse pass before the check by Alex Duncan. Held out at the right point. Dribbling inside. Banks looking for a second, and it's in. On the redirect. Alex Duncan. Not a lot of pressure on Jacob Banks. Was able to get into a dangerous area. And it's finished inside close by Duncan.
Well, Banks, hot hand, right? And he's going to get the primary assist on this goal. I think he was even confused himself. He was at the blue line with the puck. There was no one around. No one challenging him. He looked around, kind of like, why is nobody here? And maybe took 2 or 3 strides to the net. Took a shot glove side. It was off the shoulder. Rodrigue couldn't handle it. And Duncan was right there to tap that home for a 2-0 lead. But so far tonight, Banks, 2 points already.
Time of the goal, 8:59. Banks with acres of space to move in at the blue line. As you said, Mizey, it was astonishing how much time he had to move and pick out his pass, and it was right on the money.
There's nobody there. I mean, Castleton, it's one thing to sit back, but it's another to just give a guy a free lane to your goaltender. I don't think that's what they want to be doing.
Pass up front. Gaining the zone are the Beacons, and now they have another 2-on-1 opportunity. Centering pass just gets behind the intended target. That was Patrick McCoy. And now McCoy sandwiched up against the boards. Escapes the zone past the red line, past the blue, and the Beacons reset.
Puck bounced on him. That was a pretty decent pass, but just bounced at the last minute.
This one somehow stays in before it hit the protective netting. Castleton tries to build up from the back, but there's really been nothing to build up to, as the final product hasn't even been remotely close to there. Opportunity, another breakaway. Rodrigue dives on it and covers. Gives us an opportunity to say that, again, this is not the normal starting goaltender. Kyle Aliverdi, who started 9 games for Castleton, not listed on the depth chart tonight. He is still listed on the roster, but goaltending consistency is so important, and when you're already a team that's struggling, having a multitude of goaltenders in there cannot be easy.
Well, without question, and you've got a freshman goaltender who's given up 2 goals on, I don't know, 6, maybe 7 shots. Now, that was a big save, though. That can settle him in, right? A little bit of a breakaway there, makes the pad save, no rebound. And that can really settle a goaltender down, but a freshman, you know he's in his head a little bit right now.
Rodrigue, 5'10", 180 pounds out of Quebec City. Past the midway point in period number 1. The Beacons lead it 2-0. Banks with a goal and an assist. Shot in from the point. Deflected on its way through. Rodrigue retreats behind his net. Sends it out to a teammate. That's Brendan Picard. Puck pinned up against the near boards just below us at our vantage point here at Edward C. Berry Ice Rink. We'll see who eventually comes out with it. Looks like it's Castleton, it is. Reverse pass and a little sloppy, but they do get away with it that time. Centering pass out front, just tapped in there deep to allow a change, but Castleton really not building anything in their offensive third.
No, and not the way they drew it up. I can guarantee you down 2-0 quickly on the road here after they played last night as well. This is not ideal. This is going to take some drastic changes, I would think.
Ty Matthews into the zone, puts on the brakes, turns around, plays it off the carom to his teammate Krapinski. Krapinski with the shot. There's a rebound out front, but it's eventually cleared by the Castleton defense. Biggest player out on the ice, Connor Ryder, tries to pick out a teammate, can't find his man, Latabush.
Rodrigue with some rebound control problems here. And that's 2 or 3 shots now that have hit him in the chest and have found a way out into the slap home slot right outside the blue paint.
Another pass, another look out front. This one poke check from behind, and Corey Clifton lost it. But not just the rebound control, but the trapping control has not been there for Castleton. They can't get anything clean off their sticks. 4 players go into the boards. Out on the right side with 7:45 to play in the period, just looped high, but kept in right at center ice by number 3, Ryan Bogan. Bogan plays on the reverse. Clifton communicating with a teammate. Couldn't find its way to Chris Peters. Castleton, again, really no numbers. Just has to deke it in there and see if something can happen.
Well, this is the problem when you're spending so much time defending, right? By the time you do get the puck, you need a change. You don't have enough left to play offense. And so it's really difficult when you spend this much time defending to get anything done, especially when you're down 2 goals.
Jacob Banks back in there for another shift. Goal and an assist on the day already. Alex Duncan waits, and there's another one. Kole Benkauskas makes it 3.
Well, we might have to see a goaltending change here. This is 3 quick ones. The coaching staff for Castleton's definitely talking about it. We'll have to see, but Benkauskas, that's just a simple play, right? Parked in front of the net, and I can't credit the goaltender entirely. It didn't seem like there was much defensive coverage there. Guy right on top of your goaltender like that. Benkauskas is able to just chip it right over the blocker side, tuck it home, and that'll make it 3-0 Beacons. This game's getting out of hand quickly. I would expect to see goaltender getting warmed up pretty soon.
Sam Best directing traffic. That's all he's had to do for the better part of the last 13 minutes. He has been eerily silent compared to how well he's been, but that's perfectly okay as the Beacons have taken a 3-0 lead from 3 different goal scorers, and we are still 6.5 minutes away from the first intermission.
Yeah, there's an old saying, you can't win a hockey game in the first period, but you can lose it. Well, you're seeing that right here. I mean, Castleton has to answer soon.
Castleton just has to get a shot. They have nothing going toward Best's net right now. They had a fluky deflection inside the first 30 seconds, then one other shot on goal that I can remember, and that's about it. And we've played 14 minutes.
Yeah, they need a spark. They need a spark. And I don't know where it's going to come from. Quite frankly, the game plan seemed to be, hey, we're going to play defense today. We're going to try to keep this close. Well, you're down 3-0 already, so that you have to scrap that plan. And I don't know where the offense is going to come. Here's another. They're going to get it. Well, almost had a chance there, but I don't know where the offense is going to come from, but got to figure out something soon.
Another shot blocked out front. Getting his body in the way was Zach Papapetros. You get the feeling that a power play may be the only thing that gives them an opportunity, but UMass Boston hasn't really been baited into any kind of physical contact because they haven't had to be. That one's blocked out in front. Best trying to cover it. It eventually escapes out to the right side. First major involvement for Sam Best, and again is equal to it. Peters into the zone again. Waits for it, tries to deflect it through. 23 hits 23 in the outside of the leg. Ooh, that's a heavy contact, and there is the penalty that Castleton so desperately needed.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy, and I know Peter's argument is going to be turned into the hit, and it made it look worse than it was, but yeah, that's one the referees have to call there, and it should only be 2.
Boarding penalty at exactly 15 minutes. Sam Best getting a couple of fist bumps from his team, as this may be the first time he's really called into action, and a critical 2 minutes for Castleton.
Yeah, and if I'm Castleton, I'm going to look here. I might go 4 forwards because you have to get one here. You got to get back in this hockey game, and I think they have. I think they got 4 forwards on the ice, so good to see. Got to get one here.
Castleton, and that's just a sloppy pass. There's been a number of different things that have not gone Castleton's way, but there's been nothing crisp about their movement or their passing to this point in the hockey game, and that has to change. And again, it escapes, and you get the feeling that UMass Boston may even be more potent on the attack with 4 men than Castleton with 5.
Yeah, well, they almost had a chance there. Carabelli was looking for something.
Trying to take everyone on himself was Glenn Wiswell. But again, it's taken away, and here's a potential opportunity to break and make it 4 on the shorthand. Saved out front by Rodrigue. And then moved it to his left. Yeah.
That's a big save. Had to have that one. And boy, oh boy, your goaltender down 3-0. You got Vankowskis coming in, no one around him on a breakaway. You know, if this one goes in, my night's over. And he was able to come up with it. Looked like they tried to test him 5-hole again. And this time he was there.
Castleton's so completely out of sorts. There is nothing different about their power play attack than what we've seen at even strength.
Yeah, this is tough. This is a team that's looking a little bit like they got punched in the gut here, just trying to catch their air. This power play has not generated much.
90 seconds into the power play, and the Beacons have more shots on it than do the Spartans. We'll have plenty of highlights after period 1 as we will take a look at all 3 goals, but you never know, there could be more. Sent in there deep, cleared by UMass Boston. 18 seconds left on the man advantage for Castleton, but they've done little to nothing with it. The frustration continues to build for the Spartans and head coach Kyle Richards. It's certainly a rebuilding project for Coach Richards in his first season with 2 seconds on the power play. Try to move it to the right side. Centering pass out front, there was an opportunity, and Best clears, and it's an opportunity for an odd man rush. In front, score, it's 4.
That's a great play.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful hockey.
That was really nice. I mean, it's going to make it 4-0 Beacons, but boy, this is starting to look a little bit like practice. That's Walker to Skinner, and beautiful pass, by the way. Puts it right where Skinner needs it to blast it, because the tough part about that play is you know you got to go high. Goaltender's going to dive over and get his pads there. That's pretty much all he has, maybe wave his glove. But Skinner put it where goaltender has no chance, and quite frankly, I'm a little surprised. Maybe they're waiting for the end of the period. You need a spark here if you're Castleton. I mean, it's 4-0, and man, if I'm Rodrigue, I'm like, guys, are we gonna play today? I mean, you're kind of feeling a little bit like on an island a little bit. It's a tough spot for the goaltender. But boy, if you're the Beacons, you're starting to think maybe a little bit of a point night here. I know it's only the first period, a lot of hockey left, but this has been a quick lightning strike here for this Beacons Hockey Club.
It certainly is. You talk about the basketball comparison of the inbounder is usually the most dangerous guy. The guy coming out of the penalty box, or it wasn't necessarily the guy in the penalty box, Peters, but the guy that replaced him coming out onto the ice. Castleton didn't pick him up, and it was an easy 1-2 for the goal.
It was, yep, 3-on-1, and kind of a mess if you're Castleton. I at least would have thought they'd take their time out here, try to reset. With 2 minutes left, maybe waiting to reinstall things after the first period, but 4-0 Beacons here quickly. Some people coming back late from the grocery store are going to turn this on and wonder what's going on.
Take a look at Kyle Richards, a Castleton player himself. Strong center, great face-off percentage, but he has his work cut out for him as the new head coach of his alma mater. 2 minutes to play in the opening period. Beacons 4 and the Spartans nothing. 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers, all of them at even strength, but it has been as big a mismatch as we've seen in a game all season long.
Yeah, this is tough, man. I mean, it's not too many times you're down 4 after 1, you know, if it's in the second period, right, you see that from time to time. But this is a great start, right, for the Beacons. My goodness, they came to play.
Well, you talk about in the opening all the different guys that might get some opportunities tonight. Every single player on that Beacons bench is saying, get me in there.
Absolutely.
Get me in there. I cannot wait to go out there because I'm going to score now.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's nice morale, right? On the bench, you has a different feel, right? You're trying to get different guys involved, and they had a little bit of this last night in the third period, right, where you saw different players maybe playing some different roles, and still a lot of hockey game left. I would expect, you know, more of the same at this stage, but certainly later on in the hockey game, we might see some players logging some more minutes than they're used to.
70 seconds to go in period number 1. All Beacons here in the first. Mason Stauf, Matt Meisenbacher on the Beacon Broadcasting Network. And it's just a shame, Meisey, that there are no fans here to celebrate this outstanding period. Castleton tried to force it in but couldn't do so.
It'd be rocking, that's for sure, especially Saturday afternoon.
Yep. Final 45 seconds. Beacons just trying to cap off this incredible period. Do not want to give up a goal and see any of that momentum that you've built up. But there could be one last attempt to make it 5. Player goes down, no tripping called. Retrieved there by Jacob Banks, who's had an impressive first period. Not that everyone hasn't had an impressive first period, but what a day for Jacob Banks. Goal and an assist for his first 2 collegiate points.
Yeah, you didn't have to wait too long, huh?
No, not at all.
That's always tough, you know, getting that first one. And that's true with really anything, right? You want to get that first one over with as soon as possible. You don't want that lingering.
Final 5 seconds. Pinned up against the boards, and that will do it. 20 minutes in the books, and if you were making a positive-negative chart, well, there's a lot in the positive, and I can't think of a single negative on the side of UMass Boston through 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look here as both teams head to their bench. If the coaching staff is tapping, they didn't tap one of their goalies. I'd be very interested to see if Rodrigue comes back out for the second period. And it's not, I would not fault him. I don't think any of these goals were particularly soft. This is just a case where you've got to spark some energy with your team. I mean, you're down 4 after the first period. You got to try to salvage something here today. And I would expect a goaltending change. For the Beacons, make note, that's another shutout period there for Sam Best. So the streak continues. It wasn't tested too much, but he had some key saves there that he made. And a Beacons team that's got everybody involved offensively.
An impressive first period, an impressive 5-0 victory yesterday. The Beacons looking to blow that out of the water today, but plenty of highlights from last night's 5-0 win over Skidmore. Let's take a peek. welcome you back inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink. As dominant a first period as you will see in a hockey game. Beacons 4 and the Spartans of Castleton nothing. First intermission, Mason Staff, Matt Meisenbacher with you. Meisey, how would you sum up that first period other than dominant?
For which side? Who do you want me to cover first?
Well, we're calling this game for UMass Boston. Let's go there first.
We'll start with the Beacons. Outstanding. Coach probably doesn't even really have to say. He's going to go in and say, boys, let's do more of the same. Rest up. Get your liquid. You don't have to change anything. 4-0, right? And just keep the mojo going. Keep the momentum going. If you're Castleton, and I can see them, they're outside the locker room right now. Total reset. Everything we thought was going to work coming to this hockey game has not. So scrap it. What was our B plan? Let's go to that. Because you've really, and the sad part is, I thought for the first 5 minutes it was pretty even, right? We talked about the neutral zone, and it looked like it could go either way. And then the Beacons just kind of found another gear, right? And really that third line, it led the way. It was Banks. Where's my sheet?
Benkowskis?
Banks, Benkowskis, yeah. And Duncan.
Yep, all three of them scored.
All got points, and we were talking about the first and second line being the players to watch. That third line is carrying the weight. Now, Skinner has one too, but that's got to be great if you're Coach Blyle, right? Because you're thinking, wow, so I know I can count on my first and second, and I just found a third line that's already got 2 points apiece here tonight. So pretty good. If you're the Beacons, don't change a thing. If you're Castleton, I would change the goaltender. I gotta, if he's your guy, especially a freshman, last thing you want to do is leave him out to dry and have him feel like he's going to be on an island tonight. I'd switch the goaltender, and I would tell these guys, hey, it's 4-0. We got a lot of hockey left. We've got to find a way to just get the 0 off the board. Let's get 1 and go from there, right? And take it step by step, because that first period was pretty much as bad as it gets if you're a Spartan.
Easier said than done against Sam Best, whose shutout streak continues. We want to take a look at all 4 goals, but before we do that, let's take a look at some of the stats from that first period. They don't necessarily massively favor the Beacons. We don't have the goal stat up there, so if you looked at those stats on their own, which is why you can't do that, this does not necessarily look like a 4-0 hockey game.
Not at all. Not at all. And that's why box scores and final scores don't always tell the story. But I think, Best had a couple saves. I mean, especially some in front, right on the doorstep. Puck was kind of lingering around, and maybe he had to make 2 or 3 saves there. So he didn't have as quiet a period as I had originally thought. But overall, this would show a very even first period. You'd probably, if I asked you to guess what the score was, maybe 1-0, 2-1. Definitely not 4-0, but it just goes to show, right? You've got 11 shots on goal and 4 goals if you're the Beacons. It doesn't get much better than that from a shooting percentage standpoint. And if you're Castleton, you've got to fix that in a hurry. That's just way too high to have even a remote chance in this game.
The students are still on Christmas break, but we got a lot of things going on around Beaconville. Of course, a lot of things are getting affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, but women's basketball victorious earlier today against the Panthers of Plymouth State, 76-62. Women's ice hockey trying to do the double with the men over Castleton today. Women, of course, being up in Vermont on the road, 3-1 after 2. Men's basketball was supposed to take on Plymouth State today. That game was postponed due to COVID protocols. We want to take a look at some more highlights, not necessarily from this one first. We'll get those in just a moment. But men's basketball taking on Western Connecticut back on December the 7th. A thrilling victory, 69-63. great victory. That was a rescheduled game, but we had fans in the stands, so a little bit of a better time. Things have gotten a little bit crazier, as they seem to always do over the last month or so. But we had an outstanding first period. Still about 4 minutes to go until we kick off second period action. Gives us an opportunity to take a look around the NEHC. A number of games going on over the course of this weekend, and of course today and this Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Norwich is taking on Elmira in a battle of two ranked teams. That game is at the end of the first period with the Cadets up a goal to the good, 1-0. New England College taking on Hobart, number 5 in the land, 1-1 after one. And Skidmore taking on Johnson and Wales at 5 p.m. These are all teams, Mizey, that await the Beacons in the second half of the season. So a little bit of a lull potentially in terms of the quality of opponents, but that is going to ramp up in the second half of the year.
That's why these games are so important. We're going to see all these teams here at Beaconville, and you got 3 of which are ranked currently: Elmira, Hobart, and Norwich, right? All they got to come and play here still. So these are games. That's why these types of games aren't throwaway, right? You got to have these points because you want to stay close to those teams, knowing those are going to be true battles, true 60-minute battles. And we'll see them in a couple weeks. Taking care of business here tonight is the first priority.
Under the new system, with 3 points being credited for a win as opposed to the previous 2, every single win in regulation, so important to pick up those 3. We have some incredible highlights to look at from that first period, all for the Beacons, all with the goals, 4 of them to be exact. So we'll take a look at those in just a moment. But Banks, you could name, if we want to take your 3 stars right now, I would say Banks is your number 1, and he's going to be the first person we see on these highlights.
Yeah, Banks, he's in there. The Banks family, get your phones out. His first collegiate goal here to start things off, and it was a pretty nice play. I mean, he really came in on a breakaway and then was able to just tuck it 5-hole. Let's see if we can get it running here for you. But it looked confident, right? Didn't look like a guy who was only in his second collegiate game. Watch as he breaks out the zone here. A little bit of a miscue there on the red line, and then he knows he's all alone at this point. Just makes one move, 5-hole, and it was able to get past Rodrigue. I mean, that's a great moment. You can see the excitement from him there. And then the Beacons just continue to pour it on. This is the other one. Look at nobody around Banks. So he says, all right, I'll take it to the net. A rebound. I thought Rodrigue, maybe if there was one he wanted back, it was probably that one. That's a shot from distance off your shoulder. You got to try to corral that a little better than dropping it right in front. And then here's the Bankowskis goal again. Look at the defense. There is none. Bankowskis right in front of the net. Nobody around. You can't ask your goaltender to make that save looking behind him and then in front of him. And then this play, I thought, this was probably the prettiest goal I thought of the first period. Watch this pass here. Right in the spot where Skinner's just going to be able to blast that thing. And see what I mean, folks? He's got to get that up high, right? Because the goaltender's going to be able to get there down low. And if you just blast it into his pad, you're not going to get anything, right? You got to get that upstairs. So 4-0 Beacons, 4 nice plays. And I think we are going to see a goaltending change. It looks like 30 is leading him out onto the ice here. We'll have to wait and see for another minute or so. But I think Rodrigue's night is done.
Brendan Collette would be that player. We do want to look ahead for what's coming up next. It's winter sports season, so basketball and hockey galore, though we're less than 2 months away from spring sports. But upcoming for UMass Boston, you get New England College and Norwich in next weekend's back-to-back at home before you take the road to take on Babson on January the 21st, the number 6 team. So as we mentioned, Mizey, New England College, not necessarily the toughest opponent potentially, but Norwich, Babson, Elmira, Hobart. These are all teams coming up in the second half of the year. It's going to be an incredible run-in.
A lot of points to be had. A lot of jockeying for position, right? We talked about that yesterday, where the Beacons want to finish, and it's within one of those top 4 spots in the conference. That is the goal. And it looks like Hobart's going to be the team to beat this year. They took care of Norwich last night in overtime. So I would say odds-on favorite for them to be in first place, but you never quite know. And a lot of points. You just want to try to end up with a home playoff game when it's all said and done.
Brandon Collette is in net, off to our left now. The 5'11", 175-pound junior from nearby Brockton.
And you have to, right? If you're Castleton, you can't leave a freshman goaltender in there after that first period. You've got to try to make a change and see if Collette can provide a spark.
Castleton trails 4-0 The Beacons absolutely running rampant in that first period. Castleton held firm for about 5 minutes. And then goals from Banks, Duncan, Benkowskis, the entire third line, followed by Jeffrey Skinner. Cross-ice pass, opportunity, nice move initially, but went down just a little bit early and couldn't get the purchase on it. Jeffrey Skinner looking for goal number 2. Bogan, shot high, tried to go top shelf to the goaltender's left shoulder, and just sailed it north of the crossbar. Diving in there, making the play on it is Picard, looking for a teammate. Castleton not finding anybody in green, taken away by the Beacons. Really no forecheck either. Castleton basically the one-man forecheck. It was a little bit effective for a while there, and they do take it back. Trying to get it back into the attacking zone. Retreats back, retrieved by Connor Ryder. Chipped up high. Best reads it. Directs it behind. Played on the 1-2. Krapinski battling against the boards. That's a decent play out front, and Castleton couldn't react quick enough.
Might have gotten on net. I think Best might have had to make a save there.
Best continues his fantastic run of form. That rebound in front might have been juicy for Castleton, but no one was there to react. And it remains 4-0, 2 minutes gone, second period. Mason Stauf, Matt Meisenbacher on the Beacon Broadcasting Network on a Saturday afternoon. Banged off the boards, but kept in at the blue line. Wheeling around, Corey Clifton. Make that Pat Keegan, excuse me. Keegan surveying, still on the puck, reverses behind. Keegan gets it back on the 1-2. Centered out in front, and another one off the bar. That's the third time we've seen the puck hit the post. It's still with the Beacons. Reversing is Matthews. Keegan, centering pass, cut out.
Oh, looking for a hit there, Keegan was.
Castleton gets a touch on that puck, and then Keegan smashed against the boards. Taking it into the zone is Peters. Peters all alone. Peters trying to go across into the crease and ran out of room. This one held out in front, not held out in front, saved out front and spilled, but it's taken away by the Spartans.
Yeah, Peters had a lane there, just ran out of real estate. Heads up. It's almost a turnover. But you can see he was trying to get around the goaltender and just didn't have enough room.
That puck is iced. What, if anything, Mizey, have you seen from Castleton that they've tried to do differently in the first 3 minutes and change?
Hit more. And I would too. I've seen 3 or 4 so far in this period, and not bone-jarring hits, but hits. Yep. Solid hits. And I would, honestly, I'm sure they're ticked off. I'd do the same. Anybody that I can get a chance to hit, I'm going to. We got to have a second start here. Looks like a Beacon jumped on late. But that's one of the ways to work some of that frustration out, right? And then, hey, if we can soften up the Beacons a little bit, right, maybe climb back in this hockey game.
And potentially, if we hit them fairly, maybe they'll hit us back unfairly,
Exactly.
send themselves to the box.
That's right.
Both teams have had 1 power play opportunity. None of the Beacons' goals came on the extra man. Castleton committed a penalty in the opening minute, but nothing came of it. Beacons committed one of their own. Peters was whistled for boarding, but Castleton probably gave up more opportunities on the power play than they did creating them.
Never good.
Ryan Rowland sends it forward. Castleton doing a much better job protecting the blue line, but they do cede possession here. This one takes a deflection, kicked in behind, off of the skate of Romeo Terrain. Beacons regain control. Sent back in right short corner. Pass attempted from Duncan. It finds its way through, and it is eventually covered up by the second netminder of the day, Brandon Collette.
Yeah, junior, and, you know, this is kind of a good spot for him, right? He comes into a hockey game where he didn't start, and it's already a little bit out of hand, so expectations aren't going to be that high, and that's kind of nice for a goaltender, right? When there's always pressure being a goaltender, but when you're coming into a hockey game where damage is already on the board, and now it's just your job to kind of stop the bleeding, that's a really good spot to be in, especially for a goaltender that statistically looks like he, you know, could use a game like this to get a little bit more confidence.
This is the 5th game of the season for Colette. A goals against average of 4.5 and a save percentage of .868. For those of you not too familiar with goaltending percentages, .868 isn't too thrilling, and 4.5 is certainly not either. This is a Castleton team where none of the stats are particularly thrilling. Another one caroms off the post, this time by Ethan Osborne. Beacons have not scored, but they've tickled the post twice. Best, skating to his right, sees that one sail by. Taken by Renales. That one out front, and Best freezes the action.
And you can see there more of what we saw last night from Best, right? Very confident in his positioning. You can see just ate that puck up, knew exactly where it was, and not tremendously challenging, but you'll see from time to time goaltenders who are fighting it, and they're a little bit hitchy in their movements, right? There's some excess movement going on. Best is completely fluid and completely confident in where he is on the ice, where he's making saves, and just a great spot. It's so hard to get there when you're a goaltender, but when you're there, you try to hold on to it for as long as you can, and Best has been doing a good job of that as well.
Puck escapes the zone. Beacons regain possession of the puck. Skating forward is Clifton. Clifton turning on the Jets, leaving it for Patrick McCoy. McCoy surveying, trying to get the centering pass through the crease, but it's eventually held. Not sure how it eventually got there, but it did find the catching glove of Collette.
I think D'Alucio might have kind of redirected that one on net. It's actually a pretty tricky save there. I don't think Collette was looking to make a stop there.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, next thing I know, he's on top of him. And a tricky little play there. Yeah, I think that was the case. He's getting some taps on the bench, so I think a nice little play there by D'Alucio.
This is right about the time in the first period where UMass Boston found that second gear, and Castleton had absolutely no answer for it. We'll see if that happens again. Collette taps it out. Defenseman regains it, but then cedes possession once again. Out in front, trying to go from his knees and directed on frame, but just wide with Skinner. Sent in there behind by Bogan. Back out top, held in right point. Shot comes in, and it's another one off the post.
Oh, man. That's, I don't know if I've ever seen 3 in this amount of time before.
3 times in 6 minutes, it's caromed off of the iron. Beacons keep it in there. 2 players have lost their sticks. Knocked in there deep by the Spartans. Shot comes in. Best sees that one the whole way. Pad saves it to his right. Knocked forward. Beacons trying to go on the backhand. That one's saved by Collette with the left pad.
Yeah, Nitkin too. A nifty little play. He was looking for a passing option, didn't have it, and so created his own opportunity.
6.5 played in this second period. We're still at 4-0. This one tried to go near side, couldn't beat Best. Bringing it into the attacking zone and surveying once again is Nitkin.
Took a big hit.
He certainly did. Skinner had the puck on his stick for just a brief moment before it was sent down toward the other end, and Pat Keegan retrieves. Castleton forces the turnover. Is there a look here? There is. Went right at Best's chest and just knocked it down in front, and the defense takes it away.
Made a good save. Tough turnover by Keegan there.
Peters wheeling and dealing. Does the wheel, now does the deal. Roland sent back in there, right short corner for Corey Clifton. Not sure if it was a pass or a shot, but didn't get anybody. Another pass, that's a shot, that's a goal! Ty Matthews.
He can really let it go, can he? I mean, that release.
You said it. You said he's got a shot.
Folks, I'll tell you what right now, we'll show you this replay. That's a Division I release. I'm not kidding. To get that amount of speed and that type of accuracy off a quick wrister, there's so many things that have to happen, right? Because he's a righty, so he's got to be able to catch that pass and get his weight behind it and still find a way to get it off, all in pretty much one motion there. And to put that blocker side high, I mean, that's a heck of a shot there. And the kid for the freshman from Auburn, Mass, my goodness, watch out. He's not going to be a name to wonder about for much longer. They're going to know who this kid is. That's a great shot.
7:23, the time of the goal. Beacons have hit the post 3 times. If it hit the post on that shot, I don't know. We might have needed a new goal because that's how fast that one was coming in there.
Yeah.
Nothing that Collette could do. Matthews makes it 5.
Yeah, that's a complete rip.
And like you said, Mizey, that wasn't a slap shot. There was not a ton of windup behind that. That just exploded off the stick.
Yeah, that's a combination of a lot of things, right? Definitely lower body, getting your weight behind the stick, but also that forearm strength, right? To complete the shot and really get that extra pop at the end there. Just a great shot. And a nice pass on top of it.
It certainly was. Beacons right back onto the attack. This one makes its way around to the captain, Helt. Escapes the zone. But really not a lot of pressure being applied. Pass to Ethan Osborne. Tries to set it in there, eventually does, and takes a good hit into the boards for good measure. Peters waits, delivers, just to the right of the goal. Retrieved by Helt. Sent in behind. Beacons keep it in there. Long before it gets to the blue line, Patrick McCoy. McCoy puts on the brakes, turns back, return to sender. Shot from the point, this one just wide once again. On the attempt that time by Krapinski.
Well, you called it. This is kind of looking like the start of what we saw in the first period, right? Where it was close for the first 5-ish minutes, and then now all of a sudden it's just been Beacons hockey for, it's got to be 4 minutes running now.
That one not held out in front. Rebound control not quite there by Collette, but the defense comes to his rescue and sends it down to center ice. Touched in there by Deloisio. But Castleton cannot remember the last time they crossed the Beacons blue line in the attacking third. Spartans do take it back. Intended target Grady Burke. Burke chips it forward. Again retrieved by Krapinski. And the Beacons just go right back to their business on the offensive end. This time it's Walker. Andy behind the net. Centering pass out in front. That was a nice look. Not actually sure where the puck went. Oh, it was caught.
Yeah, so Collette deflected it. And then it was Renner. It got caught right where his shoulder pad meets his helmet. And good for him. Any closer, man. You don't want to take one of those off the neck. I don't care how hard the puck's coming in.
10:07 to play in the second period. Beacons have added one more to their 4-0 lead from period number 1. The 5th goal scorer of the day. And that has to feel good too, Mizey. Of course, you love those guys that go in with the hat tricks and have those incredible individual days. But 5 goals from 5 different guys has to feel incredible for the coaching staff.
It really is. The coaching staff, the team afterwards, when, you know, everything is said and done and you can kind of, every guy you bump into had points. I mean, it's not something that happens every night, right? And it's a good feeling in the locker room to really be a part of that, you know, especially, I mean, I was a goaltender. I never had a point in my life, but you still kind of feel it has a different energy to it and something these Beacons are going to want to continue. Good save there by Collette.
Nearly a 6th on the wraparound, and again, the Spartan defense nowhere to be found as the Beacon wrapped around the outside of the post. 9:17 to go in the second. Beacons in firm control, 5 goals to the good. Taking it and sending it in there was Hunter Sorrow. Deflects high into the protective netting and out of play, and we'll need a new puck.
Yeah, and what you don't want to do, and I'm sure what the coaches said, we're going to get a penalty here?
We might. I didn't see the hand go up.
I don't know. Both referees had their hand up. I'm not really sure what that was. Maybe no change. Oh, okay, yeah. So they're saying Beacons aren't allowed to change because they shot it out on their own. It wasn't deflected. So that's why the hands are up.
9:06 to play. Castleton just searching for anything. We haven't talked about Best in a while, Mizey, because we haven't had to. But when you're a goalie on the type of form that he is, that's going to be whistled for offside. When you're a goaltender on the form that he is, he's okay with just sitting back there because his mind is fully engaged in the game throughout, regardless if he's making the saves or not.
Oh, it's so true. And I was about to make the point, you know, from a team perspective, you know, that's something the coaching staff should be reminding this team of, hey, let's not just totally forget about defense either. We've got a goaltender down there right now that's got a little bit of a thing going, and we don't want to shake that and have a bad period, you know, that comes back. We're going to get a penalty here on the Beacons as I'm talking, but, you know, have things go south and then all of a sudden his confidence is gone or it's shaky. He's going to get tested here, though. It looks like the Beacons are going to be shorthanded.
They will for a moment. The Beacons currently riding 3 consecutive shutouts if you include the first game of the Codfish Bowl against the URI club team, but they have outscored their last 3 opponents by a combined score of 17-0, and if you include this one, 22 straight goals scored by UMass Boston.
Very impressive. Really very rare, too. I mean, it's just something you don't see every day.
Beacons are in the box for the next 2 minutes. We'll see if Castleton can generate anything offensively just to give themselves a little bit of momentum and keep them going, keep the spirits up somewhat heading into the second half of this hockey game. Gaining the zone on that far side is Calvin Moyce. And it's turned over, and the Beacons looking for an odd man rush on the shorthand. Gaining the zone, Duncan sends it through the crease, comes out to the other side. This is Moyce, 6'4", skating in there. Sends it over to a teammate left point, 1-2 pass. The captain moves it back to center ice. Shot comes in from the point, deflected on its way through. Zach Papapetros was the one that sent it in.
There's a good block, too. I don't think Best saw it. Based on his reaction, I don't think he saw it off the blade. So if that one gets through, good chance of going in.
Spartans winding up for another attack. The game at this point feels fairly out of reach, but just got to get something if you can.
Well, even this power play is a little lethargic, I would say.
Well, this is the second time it's looked lethargic.
Yeah. Heads up.
Got to be alert on that bench as it sails in there. But the Beacons don't look to be too troubled playing a man down. Ryan Rowland, the man in the box. But you get the feeling that the Beacons took care of the business in the first period, and they're not quite coasting yet, but they certainly feel comfortable with the way this game is going at this point.
Yeah, and you don't have to take risks, right? You could just kind of play a game that you know is safe and in control because you've got a 5-goal lead here at home and a Castleton team that offensively just hasn't really been that challenging. So from a defensive aspect, you're really feeling good. I mean, you're just not going to be put in a position that's going to force you to make a decision that could end up in the back of your net. If everyone does what they're supposed to do, it should be more of what we've seen so far here today already.
It was Matthews not rolling in the box, but he hops back in as we're back to full strength hockey. Puck ping-pongs around for a moment, but is retrieved behind the net. Matthews. Rowland seats to the left side, all the way through again. Jacob Banks looking for point number 3 on the day. Rowland sends it in there deep. Matthews swung and a miss that time. Taken away and checked off the boards by Brandon Picard. Keegan tried to find that time Jacob Banks. No luck. Castleton looking around and eventually ripping one from the point is Bogan. And it's caught.
Yeah, I have to see if that's going to stay inside. If it was deflected, I believe it was. So I think this is going to stay in the zone. We'll have to see what the refs decide. Yeah, I think that's staying in the zone. That was deflected out of play. So be an in-zone draw for Castleton.
Spartans looking for anything in the next 5:48. They've certainly protected Collette a lot better than they did Rodrigue, though UMass Boston has taken their foot off the gas a little bit, and now we have a penalty and a Beacon down to the ice hard.
Yeah. Be interested to see who
I think
gets
it's Evan Helt.
It's Helt, yeah. I want to see who this penalty is on. I think it's Castleton, but looks
see
like
what
Helt,
the call is.
Yeah, looks like Helt is all right. He's not going to need training attention, which is always a good sign. That's a good thing.
Did not see what the signal was, but the man in the box is Zach Trempner, the 5'9" true freshman from Lethbridge, Alberta. So 2 minutes for UMass Boston. They've done perfectly well with 5-on-5. You can imagine that they are chomping at the bit for a 5-on-4. Shot comes in from Peters, blocked out front. Sent back in right short corner. Retrieving it that time is number 10, Corey Clifton. This one chipped up high, couldn't be gloved down, just a little bit too much out of the reach that time of Matthews. And the Spartans are going to have a breakaway, and the Beacons didn't realize it.
Oh, he got it.
Best makes the stop.
Oh, my goodness. I thought that was it, folks. I thought, oh, no, it's going to end like this. A shorthanded breakaway, and Best got that one, too. Oh, he's in the zone.
Castleton was playing 5-on-3 and hoping that just something like that happened. And they couldn't cash it in because Best is on his game. It's 6-0. Nitkin, 6 for 6 in terms of different goal scorers.
Well, I'm still getting over that Best save. My heart dropped. I thought, oh, no, here it is. This is going to go in, and he made a great save. That's a tremendous stop there off his pad, and then sure enough, how many times have we seen this in hockey? Goaltender makes a big save on one end, and the team goes down on the other end and scores. And just a simple play there for the Beacons, really, getting that puck to the front of the net, and Nitkin's there to get the rebound and tap it home. It'll be a power play goal for the Beacons, but I'm good for my guy Best there making that stop. That's huge, keeping the streak alive.
Nitkin hits double figures on the season with 10. It's maybe 7 in just a moment as it's eventually gloved out of the air. Bobbled the first one, then snagged by Collette. 6-0 Beacons.
That was a good stop. That was a really good stop there. And you can see he's battling. He's got some compete, right? He wants to make as many as he possibly can here, maybe earn some more minutes later on in the season.
Boy, Mizey, it's 6 goals from 6 different goal scorers.
Amazing, right?
At this point, I really don't want anyone to get a second. I want to keep adding new players to this list and just see how many different goal scorers you can get in one hockey game.
I like that. I think that's good. Yeah, I'm in for that. But yeah, it's been coaches love that, right? When you've got all these different players contributing and what that does for confidence in them earning more minutes and potential situations that you can put them in, knowing that they've got confidence, is just this compounding effect when you've got so many players getting involved like this offensively.
So we still need Andy Walker for second line bingo. Third line bingo has been completed. And then you got Ty Matthews, the only one on the first line to score. So we're filling in the bingo card here, the line chart, which I'm going to treat as a bingo card at this point in the game because the Beacons are just spraying the wealth on offense. 6 goals from 6 different guys, and it's been about as fun a hockey game for the men in white and blue as you can have.
Oh, it certainly has. They're going to get a penalty here, though. And I think the Beacons are going to be shorthanded. I think Keegan's going.
Yeah, Pat Keegan's headed to the box, having a long conversation for the linesman on the far side.
And I think Castleton did maybe glanced off the post just before that. I heard something. It could have been a stick. I'm not sure if it was the puck, but nevertheless, a Castleton power play here to close out the second period.
Another opportunity for Best to potentially make a couple of more saves to add to what is a growing legend. But the Beacons quickly onto the attack shorthanded. It's been almost uncanny how you really can't necessarily tell unless you count the players which team has 5 and which team has 4 in these opportunities for Castleton. They whip it around the boards to the far side, retrieved by Picard. Beacons tried to clear it down ice. A couple of misses there. Trying to clear unsuccessfully was Gino Carabelli. Osborne just trying to burn some more time on that penalty kill. Has the puck pinned up against the boards next to his left skate. 4 guys in there battling. Castleton eventually shovels it out. Manola waits for it, doesn't get the packs. Beacons able to clear, no nonsense down ice. And Sparty will have to reset. Long pass down ice, whipped around. There's the icing call. And if things couldn't get any worse, icing on your own power play cannot be comfortable for the men from Castleton.
That's for sure. And you know, if you're the coaching staff for these Spartans, you're kind of you're trying to take a look who's going to compete, right? Who's just going to throw in the towel and go through the motions, and try to get out of here. And where are my players that are going to continue, forget the scoreboard, they're just going to continue to do what they do and compete at a high level. And those are the types of players that coaches will reinvest in, right? In a game like this, obviously it's out of hand. It's going to be very unlikely for a comeback, but you're going to want to know, okay, when the chips are down like this, who are my players that can continue to fight?
Possessed with 30 seconds left on the power play. Best waits, sees it the whole way, makes the stop through traffic. Moise has it deflected up into the netting. And we pause once again with 20 on the power play clock, 2:17 in period number 2. Coming up for Castleton, they will have some opportunities potentially to pick up some points. You got the same Skidmore team that UMass Boston played yesterday at home on Friday. They will have the bye the following Saturday, then a very difficult one on the road at Norwich, but then you're at New England College against Southern Maine before you close out the month of January against Babson. Knocked in deep, cleared, no icing because of the penalty. 8 seconds left with the man advantage, and for the third time in this game, Castleton does little to nothing with their power play. 5 men back on the ice for the Beacons. This one deflected high. I'm not sure how much he knew about it, but Ethan Nitkin knocks it backwards into the net.
Yeah, it should come outside the zone. But another solid penalty kill for these Beacons, and their percentage is upwards of 90, I believe, at this stage. I mean, that's just tremendous. Usually, you catch them somewhere in the 80s, and they're at a very, very high clip right now in terms of their penalty kill.
And that's the thing. You're going to obviously not necessarily look too much back at this game, but against the likes of Elmira and Hobart and against Norwich, penalties are going to happen. It's part of hockey. But killing off those power plays when you get them, of course, you don't want to commit silly penalties, but they happen. Killing it off is so critical when it comes to winning a conference playoff game.
Oh, it certainly is. And a lot of games are settled by special teams, whether it be your power play or your penalty kill. If you can get an advantage, if the rest remains even on both sides, and you can have an advantage in those special teams, that can be the difference a lot of times.
Played off the carom to Nitkin. Sends it cross ice. Targeted Jeffrey Skinner. Skinner battling up against 2 Spartan players. Reverse through the legs with 65 seconds to play in the second. Taken back by Walker. Walker sent through the legs. Taken back. Beacons have it with Ryan Rowland, who's checked up against the near boards. Comes out left point trying to keep it alive. Doing so successfully was Walker. Caught and dropped and recycled by Rowland. Knocked in there deep. Scampering after it. And getting there in time was Collette. Best darts out of his crease and freezes the puck with 28.6.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, just looking at this Castleton bench, it's a lot of blank stares, and it's never fun when you're getting beat like this. You got to try to find a way to stay in it mentally because, like I said, coaching staff, the last thing they want to see is when you're getting beat like this is a team that's going to start the shoulders drop and woe is me, right? It's not what a competitor does, and you want to see players get out there and even despite the score, continue to give their best effort.
And just as there are Beacon players who are just chomping at the bit to go in the game, there's probably a couple of Castleton guys are saying, give me a chance, coach. I'll go in there and I'll show you something.
Certainly. Yeah, minutes to be had here in this game and for the future, right? And for next weekend and beyond. Yeah, absolutely. On both sides, right? On Beacons and Castleton bench.
1.6. Puck will be dropped in neutral ice, so this should just about do it for the second. No one really going for that face-off. And the buzzer sounds. It's 6-0 Beacons. 6 different goal scorers. Not nearly as thrilling a second period as the Beacons already had this one well in hand. But we still have 20 minutes to go on the other side. And Mizey, 6-0. Best streak continues as well, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Another period and another 0. He earned this one for sure. And that breakaway save, that was all time. And that's as good as you're going to see from a goaltender. He earned this 0. So the streak continues, and boy, if you're the Beacons, you've got to feel good going into the locker. And you've got, on a weekend where you're looking for 6 points over 6 periods, you've got 5 in the books, and you've yet to be scored on. And you're feeling pretty good about what you're doing offensively as well. So we'll see if it continues in the third.
6-0 the score through 2. Our Beacon spotlight for today, one of the 6 goal scorers, Coley Benkowskis. Let's take a peek.
I started skating when I was about 3.5, 4, and at that age, you're still learning how to skate, so I wasn't too, I didn't really notice my speed too much, but then as I got older and, practiced more, I noticed the speed, especially in other sports. So it's definitely a gift that I have, and I'm very grateful to have it because it gives me the ability to have a step over some other, players and other teams, and I think it works well with a lot of players on the team. We use my speed sort of as an advantage over other teams, so especially when I was in high school playing lacrosse, using that speed up and down the field, I was a midfielder, was super important. It gives advantages in certain aspects of the game that, if used correctly and strategically, you can definitely get one up on the opponent. Yeah, so that's definitely a point of emphasis, especially in the off season when I'm training and then in practice. Going a million miles per hour all the time, obviously it sounds great, but sometimes you don't want to be too far ahead in a play because that'll hurt you. And just sort of being able to turn on and off the switch of when to use the speed is really important because it's so effective, especially when you can catch opponents off guard. I was definitely looking to go prep school. I knew that I might have had a chance to, pursue hockey in college after high school. And at first, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, and I had such a good connection with all my friends back home, and I really didn't want to leave them. I had built such a good family with them, so I decided to stay, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And then I went to a combine when I was a senior, and I got a team, and so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And taking years off from college, leaving your friends, not doing the conventional route as most do. It was kind of hard, but it taught me so much. It taught me a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication to the game, and luckily for me, I was very rewarded in the end. I'm at a great place where I'm happy to play, and I wouldn't change it. My speed definitely gave me an advantage, especially when you play at prep school, you get not to put down public school at all, but like you get a lot more skill, a lot more focus on your craft. So having a natural talent like speed just really helped me, stay with the group, especially once I got into juniors, and then we really focused on getting my skill where it needs to be, focusing on everything that I maybe didn't focus on when I was on a different path than everyone else. Yeah, so I took a camp with the AAA team that I was with when I was younger. I was probably around 7 to 14, and Coach Belial was a skills guy. We went every Tuesday, so I built a pretty good relationship with him then. So did every Rhode Island guy because it's really small. Everyone really knows everybody. And then through high school, I didn't stick with him just because I joined my high school team. And my senior year, before I went to the combine, I gave him a call and I told him that I was very interested in UMass Boston. But I really didn't know much about junior hockey or college hockey at all. So it was kind of just like throwing it out there, seeing what happens. Played 2 years of juniors, didn't really keep in touch with him very much. And then my last year in junior, I played for Northeast Generals in the North American League. I bumped into him there. Moved over to the NCDC, bumped into him there. And then ended up at the EHL with the Railers, and just luckily bumped into him there again. And it sort of, it definitely felt like it came full circle for me, especially because of how long the journey was through juniors. And I'm very happy that I'm where I'm at. So everybody in Rhode Island knows the Belial name. It's so legendary, and growing up, being able to skate for him, just hearing about what his family's done for the sport, and then now being able to hopefully continue that and help the Belial name, continue. It's very rewarding.
Coley Benkowskis giving us a great interview there. He scored the third goal of the day to complete the second line hat trick. As we take a look at today's scoring summary, Mizey, we've been talking about it. It's been the undercurrent of this game. 6 different goals, 6 different goal scorers across periods 1 and 2.
Yeah, some familiar names and some new names on there too. Bankston Bankowskis with adding a couple tonight, Duncan on there early on, and then Skinner Matthews Nitkin taking care of things with the second half of the 6-goal total so far.
A truly impressive performance to this point in the game. Beacons, we'll see how many other names we can add in period number 3. But we have some more impressive highlights to come from this one. But before we do that, want to take a look at some women's basketball highlights between UMass Boston and Plymouth State. Beacons victorious earlier today at home down the hall at the Clark Athletic Center Gymnasium. We take a look around Beaconville. That's one of the games that we feature, as the Beacons are victorious in front of a sadly empty gymnasium due to the current COVID protocols. All games through January the 18th, as it stands, will be held behind closed doors, but that's why we bring you everything on the Beacon Broadcasting Network, so you can still enjoy your Beacons, whether you're in person or remote. Beacons winning 76-62. Women's ice hockey held off a late Castleton surge. They dropped the third period 1-0, but they take the game, and that's all that matters, winning it 3-2 to pick up all 3 points. Men's basketball was also supposed to play against Plymouth State today. That game postponed due to COVID protocols. We take a look at the NEHC scoreboard. That big ranked matchup between Elmira and Norwich continues to swing back and forth. Elmira now up 3-2 after the second one. Certainly a game to keep an eye on, as both of those teams will travel here to Barry Ice Rink in the next month or two. New England College hanging in there against the number 5 team in the land, Hobart. Hobart might have thought that they could blow New England out of the water, but no such luck to this point. After 2, it's 2-1, Hobart with the lead, and Skidmore taking on Johnson and Wales. It's 1-0 in favor of Skidmore. We take a look at some highlights from that second period. We had 2 goals and 1 stunning save from Sam Best to bring you. You were still oogling and ogling after that Best save. Even as we went to break, you couldn't believe it, but we take a look at the goals first.
Yeah, so I think Matthews is going to be the first one here, and just watch him get open in the slot. Now watch how quickly see how he gets his backside behind his stick there to get enough force on it, right, as he's catching the pass, and then the wrists take over from there. The replay doesn't do it a ton of justice just seeing how much pop he really got on that shot, but a tremendous shot nevertheless. And then here's the second goal of the period for the Beacons. You can see defensively Castleton just very, very passive. As a shot there from the point, Nitkin was able to bury that home, and then this is the one you were talking about. So we think this was off a change. We're not really sure how this player got lost, but he's all by himself. And this is one-on-one with the goaltender. The Best commits a little early, but he's able to recover and get over to that side, get the pad on it. And a sigh of relief for him and myself, his family, anybody who's keeping track of this shutout streak he's got going on. But a great save there by 33.
Glenn Wiswell sneaking on the ice and then just camping out at the blue line. Everything went according to plan for Castleton except for the goal, because Sam Best came up with the goods once again and made an absolute critical stop.
And you got to give him credit, right?
Of course.
He's being sneaky. I'm just trying to get, a goal. I just want to get a goal on the board, so I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to play defense. I'm just sit here and see if someone can find me, and it worked. Just couldn't capitalize on it.
Oh, I'd love to have the train of thought. It's just like, oh, yes. Oh, they don't see me. Oh, this is going to work. Oh, he stole the puck. Oh, here we go. And Sam Best cuts everything off, just brings an abrupt end to that train.
That was good. If there was a script, that's what it would read like.
Yep. But at the end of it, it's a 6-0 first 40 minutes. Let's see if the Beacons can add to it in the third as we look ahead to what's coming up next for the Beacons. They've been home for a while, and they will stay home next weekend for another doubleheader. First, it'll be New England College, 7 p.m. on Friday, followed up with a marquee matchup against the number 8 team in the land, Norwich, which is currently battling with Elmira, and they currently trail by 1 goal. So we'll see if Norwich stays where they are. They are trying to come from behind. Then they will take to the road for the first time in well over a month. They will take on Babson on January the 21st at 7. Teams returning to the ice. We'll take one last quick pause for a commercial break and come back on the other side with third period action. Beacons 6, Spartans nothing.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
it helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience.
Ready to go for third period action from Edward Seabury Ice Rink. A Saturday afternoon that has gone exactly according to plan, if not better, for Coach Pete Belisle in his 14th year. Beacons up 6-0 on the visiting Castleton Spartans, and they win the opening faceoff. You're watching the Beacon Broadcasting Network. Mason Stauff, Matt Meisenbacher, as we continue this outstanding start to 2022. Sadly, health has not cooperated due to the COVID protocols, but some outstanding hockey being played by UMass Boston to open up the new year. Possessing the puck in their offensive zone is Skinner. Out front, and it's another. 7. Is that Osborne?
Bogan.
It's Bogan.
On a pass from Nitkin. That was a great release. A defenseman joining the rush. Nitkin gets the puck. I didn't think he had much of an option there. I thought he was going to have to shoot that. But he saw, I don't know if Bogan called for it or if he saw him, but he dished it right onto his blade. And Bogan just rips that one, a quick little wrister, tucks that home, 7-0 Beacons.
And it is the 7th different goal scorer, so we are keeping up that impressive run.
Who's next? Bogan check.
And you know everyone on the bench is saying who's next, too. They're like, all right,
100%.
who's next?
100%, absolutely.
This one whipped high off the boards, retrieved and looped back in there by Pat Keegan, and the whistle sounds. Bring things back out into neutral ice. It's been a rough day for Castleton, and you can't imagine. They have fought hard at the start of periods 1 and 2, and then things just get away with them within 40 seconds in period 3.
Yeah, you could kind of see it in the first period even creeping in. You know, as the Beacons started to make 2-3 and 3-4 and really just started walking away with it, you know, the mentality changed. I just didn't see that. Oh, there's a turnover. Oh, my goodness.
Shot sails high from Zach Papapetros.
You just didn't see that compete, though, to finish the thought, you know, and that's kind of where you've seen the rest of the game go. You know, it comes in spurts, but it just hasn't been a sustained effort.
Brought under control by Calvin Moyce. Big minutes for Moyce. Deep there on that fourth line, but he's getting some significant minutes later in this hockey game. Offside will be whistled. 2 Spartans players crossing at the wrong time. Karazin whistled for it, as darting in there just a second too early was Connor Ryder. In on the face-off is your Beacon spotlight player, Coley Benkauskas. He wins it. Sent back in there deep where it's retrieved by Evan Helt, the captain.
Good to see him on the ice. You know, he was down a little bit earlier and looked to be somewhat injured, but looks to be very temporary. He's back on the ice. Good to see.
Benkauskas in there deep with Jacob Banks. Had the first 2 points of the game on a goal and an assist a long time ago. And he's trying to add to his total. Helt loses it. In there behind, now retreats as Castleton tries to clear their lines, and they can't do so. It deflects back into the waiting grass for the goaltender, Brandon Collette. Again, this is the second goaltender. This game was started in the first period, was played by Dominic Rodrigue, and he got peppered for 4 goals. Now 3 have been scored on Collette in relief.
So who do we need? We need McCoy, Velocio, Keegan needs one.
Walker needs to complete that second line bingo.
He does, yeah. Got a few names out there we can keep tabs on.
Ethan Osborne defending the play. Puck shifted out right to Clifton. One of those players still looking for a goal as well. Sent around the board, it's Deloisia. Everyone on this line still needs a goal, in fact. Beacons pinning it in there deep. Taken back, Clifton. Nifty move to create some separation. Now skates around to the outside. Shot comes in way high. Had to be some contact between the two sticks as Evan Helt sends it skying into the night.
Yes, the Fura. And that's the type of thing you want to see if you're a Castleton coach. You know, that's a guy down 7-0 who just blocked a shot from the blue line and sold out to do it, you know. And that's stuff you take note of. If I'm a coach, I see that. 19 just earned a few more minutes, whether it be tonight or next game.
That number 19 is Andrew Stefura, a true freshman from right here in Boston. High stick would have been the call. We play on. As it was taken down by Castleton initially. Here come the Beacons again. Shot comes in, saved the first time. Stopped the second as well.
2 good stops by Collette. He's still fighting.
Oh, he wants more minutes too. With the starting goaltender not on the roster today, now it's a battle between the other goaltenders to win some minutes.
Absolutely.
Captain, shot from distance. That's Glenn Wiswell. He was the one that camped in there and had the near breakaway goal that best foiled to keep up this scoreless streak that he's on right now. Nitkin. Krapinski kicks it in there. Chip back down ice. Glove down by Keegan. Krapinski leaves it for a teammate. All the way across. Couldn't find their sender. Jeffrey Skinner. Bacons have it again though. And it's more of the same as we've seen all game long. Just the chip out from Castleton and the sustained attack by UMass Boston.
It really has been all day, and they just haven't had an answer at all, regardless of the score. It's just been a lot of Beacon possession.
Beacons patiently waiting, looking for the play, and this one sent all the way down to the other end of the ice. First touch of the puck in this third period for Best is just giving it to a defender. Skinner weaving his way around. Stops, tracks back. Still Skinner being put under tremendous pressure that time by Jawara Reynolds. Castleton finally gets the puck back. Can they clear their lines? Burke does so. And now gaining the zone offensively is Sam Rennert. And this one deflects high and out of play.
We'll have to see where this faceoff is to understand. I think it was deflected, but I was high right off the blade.
Looks like we will stay in the offensive zone for Castleton.
Boy, Ryder's a big guy, huh?
He certainly is.
On skates, he's got to be what? 6'8"?
Well, 6'6", 225 out of Whitby, Ontario.
Yeah. And then add another, what, couple inches for the skates? So, yeah, he's pushing 7 foot on
Easy.
the ice. Yeah.
Hasn't been able to really use his size, however, to impact this game as the Beacons have just outskated Castleton all day long. Opportunity for a 2-on-2 rush. Shot comes in, blocked out front. Rebound wasn't quite controlled as Collette would have wanted, but it did enough. Beacons out of their zone, just chip it back in there. They don't head for a change yet. Collette gives it to a teammate, that's CJ Karazin. Beacons take it back, shot, and it's 8.
Bankowskis. He might have found a scoring touch, folks. He's had a lot of opportunities this season, not just tonight. And he's the fastest skater on the team, hands down. And that's a known fact. But his shooting percentage was down a little bit. He was getting the opportunities, just wasn't finding it. And you can see there, that's a great wrist shot. And puts it to a spot where the goaltender couldn't get it. His second of the night. He wasn't supposed to do that. I think
No,
he was supposed to pass,
no,
right?
no. I can't say
Singles
I'm
only
thrilled.
tonight.
As soon as I saw it was Bankowskis, I was like, oh, that ruins it at 7.
But no, in all seriousness, a great shot. And, well, now we have a hat trick watch.
Absolutely. It's honestly stunning that it took us this long to get someone with 2.
That's true.
And that doesn't mean we can't get more people joining the party.
Might as well open the floodgates.
Absolutely. It's
everyone
8-0 now. And, boy, I think that was the first time. We've noticed some blank stares. You mentioned it in the second period, Mizey, about the blank stares for Castleton. I think that's the first time I really saw the heads drop.
Yeah, and now they just took a bad penalty. It's starting to unravel here pretty good.
All the way through off the post. We saw it go off 3 times in the second period. First time it caromed off iron here in the third.
That was McCoy. That would have added to the list. Oh, that would have been his first too.
Goaltender is out for the extra attacker. Beacon's looking to build up from behind. Goal difference can come into play with a tiebreaker, so anyone who's wondering, is there a mercy rule? No. And is there essentially a form of hockey etiquette? Yes. But in terms of this crazy jam-packed conference, goal difference can play a role, and Castleton knows that. And honestly, you ask anyone on that Castleton sideline if they want the Beacons to let up, there's too much pride. They do not want them to take their foot off the gas. They will deal with their punishment their own way. They got to fight through this.
Well, and also, I mean, don't take bad penalties, right? I mean, that was just a late hit there by Moise. And ref has to call those, and you leave your team shorthanded.
Shot from in, and it's held out there. Brought under control by the goaltender, Collette.
Keegan with a good rip. He's a player. He's not on the sheet yet, right? He needs his first collegiate goal, too.
Yeah, only one goal from a defenseman, and that was Bogans.
That's right.
Beacons with 1:40 to play 5-on-4. Darting forward, gaining the zone, and now moving it to his left is Andy Walker. He's the only man on line number 2 that hasn't scored today. We'll see if he can add one on this power play. Shot comes in just high. Retrieved in there deep by Skinner. Cycles it back around. The Beacons feel like they have acres of space and oodles of time to play with right now. Pat Keegan in there behind. Oodles is an official term, by the way.
Is that? That's in the dictionary?
Yes, it absolutely is.
Learned something today.
Hockey dictionary. Broadcaster's dictionary.
Sure, why not?
Second chance opportunity couldn't be forced home near post by Walker, but it's still with the Beacons, still with 50 seconds left at 5-on-4.
Take a shot. Oh.
There it is out front, and it's held. Alex Duncan was looking for his second. Couldn't force it home with 12:01. 45 seconds left on the Beacon power play.
Yeah, you can see, they pretty much do whatever they want, right? As Castleton continues to go with that passive penalty kill. And I don't know, looks like head coach giving some words to the referee. Not quite sure what that's about.
Beacons win another face-off. Nothing going Castleton's way. They are completely shrunken in, almost on top of the goaltender, Collette, allowing the Beacons plenty of time to move in front. There's an opportunity. It's saved to the right side and taken back around the net by UMass Boston with 23 to go on the power play. Shot from distance, blocked out front. It doesn't escape the blue line, and it's kept in there by UMass Boston. They've spent the entirety of this power play on the offensive zone.
Yeah, they really have.
Castleton, 7 more seconds to kill off. Beacons out front. Reverse pass into the short corner, trying the centering pass out front. It comes back out. Beacons not pulling the trigger. We're back to full strength. Castleton trying to get that 5th man in the box. Out front, saved, rebound, it's 9.
Clifton, I'm not sure. 2 players in front of the net. I don't know who's going to get it. It's either going to be Clifton or it's going to be Matthews.
I think it's Matthews.
Let's see who's first through the line here.
It's not Matthews who's
Clifton.
skating. That's Nitkin.
Or is that Nitkin? Oh, my apologies. Yeah, it's hard to tell. No one's really celebrating.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. We'll have to wait for the announcement. Clifton, I think it looks like we're getting some motion from our
well, then he joins the party.
Sports director here. It'll be Clifton's goal. And we got a timeout?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, goaltending change again.
And so this is going to be the collegiate debut of Castleton's 3rd-string goaltender, Simon Brentner, out of Wien, Austria.
Jeez, add that to your bingo card. I don't know if I've seen a player from Austria at this level. We'll have to see what he's got. Also not known, Austria, well, they have a hockey team.
They do,
you
absolutely.
see
They
them
play
from
at the
time to
Euros,
time.
and they can play some spoiler occasionally.
Absolutely, yeah. You do see some Austrian hockey, but getting him some action, I like that. You know, at this stage, right? Why not? I mean, down 9-0, and you know what? Probably an opportunity for the coaching staff to remind these players, hey, we still have 11 minutes in this hockey game. I mean, we're getting embarrassed. How bad do you want it to get, right? Can we have a little bit of fight here? You know, and that's something that you got to try to inspire these kids somehow, right? Last thing you want is a double-digit deficit here.
The 8th goal scorer of the day for UMass Boston. There is still a lot to play for in this game. We're getting to the point where we won't talk about it. As this one whipped in there, past the left post of Best, who has had nothing to do in this third period so far. But he continues to control the net as it's chased in there by Patrick McCoy. It comes out. A couple of pushing and shoving inside, but it's taken away by Castleton. Whipped toward Best, who catches and drops it to a defenseman. Taking it back around the net and moving forward is Keegan. Keegan to McCoy. Looked for the center. Castleton cuts it out and moves the other way with Picard. Picard to Manula. Beacons get in the way once again. Castleton going 5-hole in the defenseman. Shot from distance just to the left. Best dives the other way but doesn't have to, as it's cut out before it got to him. And now the Beacons can break once again. Moving it forward this time is Chris Peters. Can't imagine that we're going to see Peters for too many more shifts with a 9-0 lead, but you never know. Out in front, deflected in fair, and eventually cleared. Out towards center ice where Castleton takes it. They have 2 men forward, Beacons have 4 men back. Poke check from behind, able to dispossess that time. Andy Walker disrupting the play.
Yeah, nice little back check there. Also good to see, right? Still back checking up 9. Coaches take note.
They certainly are, and they know they have a goaltender to protect.
Nice hit.
Big hit behind the play to complete it fairly. Coming the other way is Walker. Walker gets it out in the middle. Target was Bogan, but taken away by Castleton with 9 to go in regulation. Darting around, shot comes in. Might have been the first save in the career of Simon Bretner.
Yeah, it was, and another good one. Two. First one was really good off the glove, and then that one, good rebound control into the corner. Oh, ouch. We're going to get a penalty. That wasn't the penalty. That was just a block, but
yep.
Caught Sorrow right in the top of the skate, man. There's nothing there.
And then he might have even gotten hit on the second attempt, too, on its way through.
I think he did.
Goaltender has reverted to the bench as the Beacons playing with the extra attacker on the delayed penalty. That'll be called against Castleton. Taking out top Krapinski. Sending it around. Beacons playing 6-on-5 for about as long as I've seen a delayed penalty go. It's held in there, and Bretner makes the stop.
Oh, it's helped too. He's looking for his goal here tonight, man. I don't blame him. Keep shooting. But Bretner, a couple good saves. Not bad from this goaltender, a freshman, like you said, out of Austria. And another Beacons power play here, trying to make it a 10-goal hockey game.
If Evan Helt scores, I might go nuts.
Yes, you should. As you should.
The grad student, 5th-year player out of Sylvania, Ohio, still looking for his first collegiate goal, has all the leadership qualities you could ever want in a student athlete.
Certainly.
And he's looking for that first goal. He's still out there, number 20 at the point, and now he's going to have to get back defensively. He'll do so with his teammate on the outside. That's Pat Keegan.
Yeah,
Helt.
Got to try to find him here, right?
Absolutely.
Got to try to find a way to get Helt a couple shots on goal.
Darting forward once again is Andy Walker. Walker with the centering pass out top. Kept in left point by Keegan. Centering pass out front. Comes back to Helt. Back to Keegan. Sends it behind the net with 1:22 to play on the extra man. Taken back by UMass Boston. Helt looking for it. Shoot out front. First save, no. Second save deflected back in. And it's going to be a shot and a goal for Pat Keegan.
His first collegiate goal. So we're getting a lot of them out of the way here tonight, folks. And just a standard hockey play, right? Shot from the point, rebound, puck bouncing around in front. And Keegan's there to tuck it home. Creeped in from the blue line.
The 6'3" true freshman from Maynard does have 2 assists on the season, gets his first collegiate goal, and it is double digits. The Beacons up 10-0 on Castleton. And we didn't exactly call it a trap game coming in, Mizey, but the Beacons certainly didn't look at it that way. They put their foot on the gas from the very first period, and they never looked back.
Yeah, they really have. And I think part of it, too, I mean, got to take it with a grain of salt. I think this is a growing, developing Castleton team. That's in the net.
Went 5-hole. It's going to be Krapinski.
Guess we're going to keep it going here. But it's a growing program, right? And they're in development. Didn't love their compete here tonight, though. I thought they let it go early here in the first, and they've kind of allowed this to, I shouldn't say allowed it to happen, but it's gotten worse, right? Instead of continuing to fight, this has just kind of become an onslaught to their goaltending here. And it's easy up here from where I stand. I'm not on the bench. I'm not in the locker room. You never really know what's going on, and are they dealing with other issues. But for a conference game here tonight, 11 goals on the road, that's tough.
Certainly is. 6:46 to go. Beacons up 11-0. Yes, that is the correct graphic. It has been an outstanding performance from UMass Boston. Not so from Castleton. And again, this is a team in Castleton that they gave up 6 to Hobart, 5 to Elmira, but they have battled. This is a team that tied Babson, the number 8 team in the land, 3-3. So Castleton
It's in there somewhere.
It is.
Yep, it's in there somewhere, but it's just, and that's part of it too, right? The consistency. I mean, you hear the cliche, I mean, anyone can beat anyone on any given night, right? But the best teams do it night in and night out, and it's a repeatable process. And clearly Castleton has some sort of talent to tie Babson, a quality hockey program, but not enough of it, right? Not sustainable. Oh, geez.
Best drops it in there.
Welcome to goaltending. That one probably changed a little bit of direction on him, and he was able to handle it.
Under 6 minutes to play. Can anyone else join the party for UMass Boston? And the other thing in these last 5.5 minutes, it's an 11-0 hockey game. Don't get baited into anything silly.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. You make a good point. No silly penalties, or God forbid any type of bad plays that put yourself at risk of injury. Anything like that is just completely, that has to be out of the question at this point. This is a run out the clock type of situation.
UMass Boston chips it in there deep. Chasing it in is Chris Peters. Has to be on one of his last couple of shifts, as he's one of those players that will be absolutely irreplaceable down the stretch. Castleton takes it back. They try and shift it through, but it's taken off through the stick of Connor Latabush. Spartans reversing the puck. Taken by Papapetros. The captain, Wiswell, he came the closest on that breakaway shot in the second period. Best's most notable save.
Certainly.
Knocked in there behind by the goaltender, Brentner. Should say
Matthews
Brenter.
is having trouble getting up. He hit the boards pretty good. This is exactly what we talked about. No penalty to be had. I think he just blew an edge. And he's hurting. Oh, you're going to have to see.
Beacons ice the puck. Are they going to let him go off?
They should. If they saw him down knowing that he's dealing with something, yeah, they should be allowed, for that. Especially, I mean, also.
Yes.
Let's not,
Of course. So they will allow that change as Matthews heads to the bench, and I would imagine with 4:23 to go, he'll just get an ice pack on there and hopefully be okay. But will not return to the ice in this one, with the game having been out of reach since the very early going. Best drops it in front of him, then covers with 4:19 to go.
Got to do it for your goalie here, right?
Absolutely.
This is an important draw. Let's not give that. That was kind of a tricky shot. Anytime from from distance when you've got players in front of the net like that, it's tough on a goaltender. The puck is fluttering. You kind of lose it for a split second, right? Or you can win the draw, get it out the other side, and let's see.
Beacons do win it, but then they hit it high.
That's not going to cut it. That's going to stay
No,
inside.
it's not. Got caught up in the ironwork that bridges everything here at Edward C. Berry Ice Rink. So we will just do it again. Same face-off circle. Left side of the offensive zone for the Spartans. Beacons do win it. The face-off number has, like everything else, been heavily in favor of UMass Boston. They gain the zone. Reverse pass into the middle. Just too much of a lunge that time for the Beacon attacker, as it's skied high that time by Michael Krapinski. Heavy carom off of the rear boards. Spartans try and clear inside the final 4 minutes. Beacons keep it in the zone. Shot out front, blocked in there. Defenseman got in the way. That was Hunter Sorrow making the stop out front. 3:35 still to play in an 11-0 Beacons rout.
Yeah, big time. It never really stopped. You know, sometimes in a rout, it comes in waves, right? And you have one team. It almost happened a little bit last night. You know, it was close for a little bit of that hockey game, and then slowly but surely the Beacons kind of walked away with it. 5-0 is a far cry from 11-0. This is just didn't have an answer. I don't know if it was a game plan mishap, right, where whatever we had planned didn't really work out the way we thought, or if this team just doesn't have the I don't think it's a talent issue, though, Mason, because, again, like you said, they tied Babson. This is just one where you got to go back to the drawing board, you know, and prepare. I mean, you look at the bench, and I don't blame them. It's tough. It really, really is tough. It's one thing to lose a hockey game, and you give your best effort, and you try again tomorrow, but this is, you know, one that kind of sticks with you a little bit longer, you know?
And you went with the old cliche, of course, of the best teams do it night in, night out, and you get the feeling that this is one of those Castleton teams where when they're on a high, they can ride that high,
sure.
But when it does get to a low, they do sink inside themselves, and that low gets extended for a long period of time. And
did have that feel. Yeah.
A game where, yes, in that first period they let it get away from them, but after 1-2 goals, they didn't really shore anything up. It just got worse from there, and at no point did you really feel like the Spartans were even really interested in trying to put some pressure on the Beacons and come back into this one.
It's fair analysis. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. But the positive side, as we flip the coin,
it's one game.
It's one game, right? And it counts the same. You know, your goal differential is going to look pretty bad for a little while, but other than that, it just goes in the loss column and you move on. Now, the Beacons, on the other hand, have to be feeling confident. And what a weekend. They continue the solid performance in the Codfish, and then they come in this weekend against two teams that they really knew they should beat, and they take care of business in both regards. And they've got a goaltender right now who nobody can solve. And offensively, they're there. I think defensively, we haven't really talked much about it, but they're doing that's a good thing, right? They're doing all the right things. They're getting the puck in and out. And this is a program right now that's firing on all cylinders. They have to feel like they've got some momentum with some big games coming up, as we've talked about, in the next few weeks.
Best glove saves that left side. New England College is up next Friday, followed by the rematch with Norwich. And there's certainly some unfinished business for UMass Boston. They played the Cadets very early, had a lead of 2 goals inside the final 90 seconds, and could not hold it.
Yeah, went to overtime. And the challenge that weekend, too, is going to be not looking too far ahead to Norwich, knowing you've got New England College the night before. You know, that'll be something that needs to be discussed. But Coach Blyle and his staff with Murph and Paulie and Bucco, they're all going to take care of that throughout the week and make sure this team's well prepared going into next weekend.
It was a 5-2 win at New England College the last time those two teams met, but as Maisie mentioned, cannot look past the Pilgrims. Got to get through them before you get to the Cadets in that rematch and try and close the deal at home. Best glove save and freeze with 38.7 One last line change for each side.
Well, he's got to be coming up on the all-time record. I mean, I don't want to, 38 seconds left here, but this is truly impressive what we're seeing out of Sam Bess. All things remain the same. I'll wait for the draw. I'm going to shut up until this draw. There we go.
There
all
it
right.
is.
Get that out of the zone, and I can make my point. Oh, geez. All right, here we go.
There it is. Is there one last breakaway for UMass Boston?
Kauskas.
Starting forward is the fastest player on the ice, but Kauskas takes a tumble.
He tried. I give him credit. He tried. He wanted the Hattie. But as I was saying, truly, I mean, record-wise, it's going to be 3 in a row, but reality, it's 4, right?
Yep.
Because the one game will go down as exhibition. But you know that you're talking about all-time in Beacon's history and probably in the conference and maybe in all Division III. I don't have it in front of me. I wonder what it actually is, but incredible and truly incredible. I'm getting Murph just gave me the number 4. That's 4 in a row, and that's an incredible streak, folks. I haven't actually been a part of anything like that. I've been with goaltenders who have had 2 in a row, and that's usually the max. 6-point weekend for this Beacons club and a goaltender who hasn't been scored on in 2 weeks.
The last time that the Beacons were scored on, you have to go all the way back to Plymouth State on December the 7th.
There you go.
There was that 3-week break that separated that game, the 4-1 loss, and the Codfish Bowl. But since then, Sam Best, if you include the exhibition, has had 4 straight shutouts, and the Beacons have outscored their opposition 28-0.
Really impressive. Really impressive. You can see it, you know, the guys being around the room, being around the rink. They're feeling good right now. Why shouldn't they be, right? And everything's working. They're putting in the hours, obviously. They came out this weekend and took care of 2 teams that now they bury behind them in the standings, and they can start to consider themselves a top 4 team in this conference.
Unfortunately, because of the COVID protocols, we will not get a chance to talk to Coach Belisle, but a very happy Coach Belisle, no doubt about it, as his team routs Castleton by a final score of 11-0. We will take a break, come back on the other side with some final stats and wrap up here. But a fantastic Saturday afternoon. Women's basketball wins earlier. Men's hockey wins in a rout. Don't go anywhere.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified.
We welcome you back inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink. An 11-0 blowout for your UMass Boston Beacons over the visiting Castleton Spartans. After the first period, the stats didn't necessarily reflect it. The final stats most certainly do. An absolutely dominant performance, Mizey. UMass Boston riding Sam Best to his 4th straight shutout. If you include the Rhode Island Club game in the Codfish Bowl, everything's clicking for UMass Boston at the moment.
Yeah, they're on a roll, a historic roll, and we're still trying to. We'll have that maybe for next weekend. The calculations on in terms of minutes with a shutout streak going, but you know, for me, I think the standout really was that third line tonight. You know, and Duncan, Bankowskis, and Banks. You know, the top 2 lines have really been carrying the weight. I think for a lot of the season, particularly the last few weeks, that third line really showed up, and they got the scoring done early. They kind of buried this Castleton team, and we talked about the change in attitude we saw in that first period when it got to 3-4 goals. It looked like they were already feeling like it was out of reach, and that's the credit to the third line. They looked really good here tonight, and I would expect that line to remain the same moving forward.
If you're curious who scored all the goals, we'll take it through you as quickly as we can. There were 10 different goal scorers for the 11 UMass Boston goals. Banks, Duncan, and Bankowskis, that third line, scoring all 3 of the first 3. Then Skinner, Matthews, Nitkin, Bogan, the lone defenseman, getting in on the action early in that third period. Then Bankowskis scored his second. Clifton, Keegan, the second defenseman, in on the act. And Nick Deloisio getting the last one at 13:07. We could give the stars to just about anyone for UMass Boston, but we had to narrow things down and pick the 3 stars. And Mizey, when you have 4 shutouts in a row, you're going to be the first star of the game.
He'll probably be there until that streak is over. I don't see any way you could remove him off that. 4 straight games of not giving up a goal is unheard of. I don't think I've ever done that, and I don't know if I don't know if I've heard. I'm trying to think if I've heard it in the history of my time being around hockey, if I've heard of 4 in a row. Tremendous. Just continue to do what he does, and you have the 2-star with Bankowskis, who we talked about skating, not a problem. It was the scoring. He lost the touch a little bit, got it back here tonight with 2 goals and an assist. And then Jacob Banks getting his first collegiate goal, added 2 assists. Both those guys on that third line. You could throw Duncan in there if we had a 4th star, but really thought those guys stood out for me tonight.
Jacob Banks gets his first 3 collegiate points all in one go with that goal and 2 assists. As we look ahead to what's coming up for UMass Boston, we do not slow down. Another home back-to-back next weekend with New England College in town Friday at 7, and then starts the gauntlet. Norwich first on the 15th at home, then at Babson on the 21st.
Yep, and that now you took care of business this weekend, right? You got your 6 points. You're right in the thick of the conference. You got to take care of New England College, and then you got the big one Saturday afternoon against number 8 Norwich. This season you could go have a lot of different outcomes, but it starts a game at a time. They got to handle the Pilgrims first.
Not much more that can be said that hasn't already been said, as the Beacons absolutely rout the Spartans by a final score of 11-0. We thank everyone who's joined us for our doubleheader today, with women's basketball taking down Plymouth State earlier, followed by your men's hockey knocking off Castleton 11-0. We want to thank our fantastic production crew. With this COVID environment, would not be able to produce these events without them. Our fantastic duo of Allie Crawford and Mary Jo Murphy, our directors, with Allie producing. Instant replay, Allie as well. Camera operators, Gina Albalo and Kaylee Sullivan. For my color commentator, Matt Meisenbacher, I'm Mason Self saying so long.